Hi everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path. Today we're going to do a tag, and we're going to do maybe a separate video with discussion, or maybe I'll just put it all in one. I'll just put it all in one thing like a big sandwich. And you guys love it. I hope. I always want to make sure that you guys are having a good time on my channel. Okay, what are we having today? I'm having what is this? A White Claw Surge in my jelly jar, and my popcorn. All right, so Heather tagged me with the philosophy of reading tag, and I can't link videos because I just am too stupid, but I will link her channel so you can go and watch her video, and she has done a spectacular job with this tag. She really has. She has dug deep. She has told us things. It's cohesive, it's coherent, it's interesting. Mine will be nothing like that. I hope you don't click off now. But Heather's is really far superior to mine. So, and I don't say that in any sort of pitying way. Heather is a thinker. She's an intellectual, and she can take an idea and turn it over in her head and look at it from all aspects like a prism. And I am a blackboard. I see the question in my mind in the blackboard and try to answer it. So, blackboard versus prism. Yet somehow we are still extremely good friends, for which I am very grateful. All right, this is the philosophy of reading tag. Question 1. What is your own personal philosophy of reading? In parentheses. How do you think about reading? What does reading mean to you? How does your reading life affect your non-reading life? Okay, so my reading life comes first. I know that sounds awful, being a mother and being a wife and being a caregiver to my mother, but my reading life, I mean, that is the focal point. That and my cross stitch, and that is what, and if it's not my North Star, it has to be to keep me sane. Because I'm sure there's a lot of Gen Xers out there like myself who are faced with just crushing responsibility. I mean, I feel like I have crushing responsibility, and I don't feel hate towards that crushing responsibility. But if I don't prioritize my time reading or my time cross-stitching, then I would just be buried under a sea of responsibilities. So my reading life is my life number one. That's number one on the ladder. Picking out books, reading books, that's my life number one. Oh, Joe just walked across because I guess he just doesn't want to hear me. Joe! Joe went into his room because I'm embarrassing him. Joe is my youngest son. Okay. All right. How do you think about reading? I think about reading as escapism, pure and simple. I mean, yes, you can read. My father always said, read above your level, which is what I tried to do. And I do still try to do that, is read above the level and everything like that. Joe, come here. Come here, Joe. No. Joe is saying no. Okay, I always try to read above my level, but at the same time, I just get lost in the story. I'm not a big nonfiction reader. I have read some nonfiction that I have absolutely loved. But I want to get lost in the story. I want to get taken away. I want someone to interrupt me and me having to have a few seconds to realize where I am. That's what I want. That is my philosophy of reading, and that's what I think reading should be. It should be escapism. Let's see, what does reading mean to you? It means everything to me. It means everything. I'm not going to sacrifice my family for a book or anything like that. This isn't, Sophie's Choice or anything like that, thank God. But it's everything to me because it is a part of my personality that my friends know and hopefully love about me, and my family knows and hopefully loves about me. And yeah, it's a part of me that is a very dominant part of me. Next question, please. When did you first come to think of yourself as a reader? Oh, this is easy. I remember this identical. And we were in Mrs. Holmes' kindergarten class, and I was identified as an early reader. And let me tell you, I was so freaking proud of that label. I was so proud of that label. When my mom came to pick me up that day, I told her all about it. I don't know that she really got the import of it that I did, how important it was to me to be identified as a reader. But when you were in my school, and maybe in many schools in North America, if you're an early reader, then you just take off. And you can take AP classes, and you can take gifted and talented. I was in all of those classes and everything like that. I don't know that it benefited me that much. I mean, I went to college and I had a great time, and I have a top college degree, but I'm not pulling in the bucks or anything like that. Let's just be honest there. But being identified as a reader, so someone else identified me as having this skill, and I was thrilled to death with it. Maybe they should have identified me as being a math person. Maybe I would be more thrilled with that later on in life. But no, that was the first time I identified as being a reader. It was when Mrs. Holmes told me I was an early reader. Okay, what are some goals or hopes that you have for your reading right now? Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I want to go back to my childhood when I just read and I just read. And I'm thinking about, actually I'm pretty sure that I'm going to break up with Goodreads. I was reading the other night, and I flipped over to my Goodreads, and I realized that I was like 2 books behind on identifying my books. And then I was like, oh my God, how do I put the 2 books in there? And how do I change the dates and everything like that? And then I thought to myself, what has Goodreads done for me? I'm doing all this stuff for Goodreads. I'm, gamifying my reading. I am making these lists to justify what to who, I don't know. So my hopes and goals for dreaming, for reading, are just to have, you see that famous picture of the man on the ladder in the library where he's got books under his arms and he's reading one like that. I just want to read. I just want to read and talk about it. My mother and I are in a new book group. We started a new book group, and I will certainly take some video of that new book group, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. And it's people a little more her age. But God, don't strike me down dead. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But back to Goodreads. Goodreads has done nothing for me, and I've done everything for Goodreads. So I'm breaking up. I don't like that relationship anymore. If you look for me on Goodreads, I will still be there, but I will no longer be updating my books or anything like that. I have a couple of friends on there. I wouldn't say that I'm close friends with them, but they do occasionally like my reviews. I don't leave printed out reviews. I just rate the book. And then I think to myself, why am I reading the book? Because nobody has the same experience, as Heather pointed out. Nobody has the same experience reading a book, so who am I rating it for? Who's looking at my ratings and saying, well, what does Meg think? Now what? No one is thinking that. So break it up with Goodreads. Want to read as I did as a child again, discover things. Okay. What is part of your current reading life right now that is important or exciting for you? Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I started a book that I will review on this channel, and probably in the next couple of weeks, I'll be finished with it in the next couple of weeks, that has been a life-changing book for me. It's not nonfiction, it's fiction, and it's not highbrow, it's not classic, it's not anything like that, but it has taken me back in a time capsule to when I was young. And it has taken me back to the thrilling art. Is it an art? I don't know if it was the thrilling moments of reading late at night when everyone else is asleep and I just have to turn the page. I cannot put the book down. That feeling of having to know what's going to happen next. And you'll be surprised at the book. I think you'll be surprised at the book. But this book has touched me in such a way that when I started reading it, I went, shh, like I was 12 again. Like I was 12 again. And don't we all want to be that way? Don't we all want to be young again? It was like I was young again. It is like I'm young again. And I can't wait to share this book with you. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet because you'll be like, really? Really, Meg, this is one, but this is the one. This is the one. And I'm in love with this book. And you may not be, when you see the book, you may not be, but I have become a child again when I read this book. I have become a staying up late while my parents have gone to sleep, sucked into a world, literally sucked into a world that I can see, I can breathe, I can touch. It's wonderful. So that is my response to Heather tagging me with my reading philosophy of life book. Not nearly done as well as Heather. And God, I respect that woman so much. I really do. And I hope she never stops tagging me and never stops being my friend. And I hope you guys never stop watching and never stop being my friends. Leave me comments. This was a bit rambling. I don't know if I achieved all of the prompts that I should have achieved, but in any case, I will check you later. Hey everybody, it's Meg from Books Off the Beaten Path. I am back from church and I'm ready to do this final tag for this Sunday. Sorry, I got something in my eye again. And I'm a little croaky. I guess it must just be allergies. Now, this is the tag that Heather and I came up with together. And it's called Box Office Tops and Flops. And so it's really simple. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the top 5 highest rated videos that I have, and I'm going to post them. I can't figure out how to do a fancy screenshot to get them all together because it all happened, at different times. And then I'll do the lowest ones, and I'll post those too so that you guys can review and see what you think, if they actually deserve the highest or the lowest. I actually have 6 on the highest because my highest, a lot of them got the same amount of views for some reason. And so, I had to pick between 2 or 3. So I have 6 here, but I will mark them. I'll put them up there. I am so sorry about my eye. Oh, goodness. Okay. Twitch has entered the room. And now we're going to have to do some Twitch baiting. Here she comes, and there she goes. Okay, I'm back. So here we go. Let's do the box office tops first. My very first video coming in with the most views in the 800s, I don't have any that go over this one. So don't look for any thousands of views or anything. Was my John Dickinson car. When I showed my collection of my John Dickinson car books, and we talked about his career and the locked room mystery and my favorites of his and everything. I think that one went so high because even though he's niche, he is pretty niche, he is pretty popular. And if you know, you know. And I think that just by doing that deep dive on him and showing off all of those locked room mysteries that I had and everything like that to the people that really appreciate classic mysteries and want to learn more about them, and I think that was why I got the most views on that one. Number 2, Sneaking Around the Skirvin Hotel. Now that one nearly got me in trouble. It nearly got me thrown out of the hotel. And because I was walking around and I was showing it off and everything like that. And I think that one gets a lot of views for obvious reasons. People want to know about the Skirvin Hotel before they go to Oklahoma City. And here's this chick walking around with her camera out, almost getting thrown out. But I mean, we were staying there, but I was walking around the Skirvin, and I don't know that they appreciated it that much. But that one's pretty easy to define why everyone liked that one. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get my hair a little bit less disgusting. Okay, number 3, my deep dive into Mary Stuart. That one, I think, again, had to do with a niche author that, if you know, you know, people love her and people collect her. She's very collectible, and she's romantic suspense, and who doesn't love that? And I showed off my collection of that, and I had some great little, I had like a little picture of Audrey Hepburn and a little picture of, you know, stewardesses flying on like a Pan Am and everything like that. And I think that one had great graphics, and I think it was just the niche authorness of it. Okay, number 4, It's Hip to Be Square. It's Hip to Be Square is all about Emily Loring. And I think that one was not so much because it was a niche author. Like, I'm seeing a pattern that the ones that have gotten the highest views are the ones where I focus on one thing and I don't get distracted. But I think It's Hip to Be Square was really me talking about my values and what I thought about my values in relation to this author. I think that's why it got a lot of good reviews, or a lot of views. I don't want to say good reviews, it just got views. Okay, so that was number 4, It's Hip to Be Square. And again, number 5, another niche author, Mary Roberts Rinehart. Again, I focus on one thing, I do a deep dive, and I get the views. But the problem is that there aren't that many authors anymore. I mean, I could do my Gothic literature stuff and everything like that, but isn't that just everywhere? I think that the Mary Roberts Rinehart, people didn't know so much about her. Like, people, again, if you know, you know. But if you don't know, then I think that these videos are very interesting because I give a little history of the author and kind of talk a little bit about their private lives or their personal lives and everything. And then I show my collections. I have a hair on my hands bothering me. Okay, and my honorable mention is, and now for something completely different. And that's when I read my diary to you guys. And that one got a lot of views. Just reading my journal entry got a lot of views. I have 2 out there that are titled the same thing, and now for something completely different. One where I'm reading, you know, kind of the outlines of my short stories or my novels in process. And the other one, this one in particular, was when I was reading out of my journal. And I don't know if that was just so incredibly personal and made me so vulnerable. I don't know, maybe you guys were laughing your asses off about what I write in my journal, but that one was an honorable mention because that one got at least as many views as Mary Roberts Rinehart. Okay, now for the lowest. The lowest of the low was reading at the OSU Center for Writers. I read a little short story at this pub, and it was just kind of a disaster. It was like the video was taken way far away, and the sound wasn't good, and I wasn't good. I was speaking too quickly, and my little short story about my dog I wrote about Moose just did not compare to these people that were writing about alcoholism and combating domestic violence and everything like that. I wrote about walking my dog, and it was just, I think it got the lowest views because we were like, oh, that poor thing, oh, that poor thing, and clicked it off. The next one, Poetry Pop-Up, Billy Collins. I tried to be Pat from Book Chat with Pat, but I never can be because she's just too proficient and she's too polished. And when she does her Poetry Thursdays, it is spot on, I tell you. And so I wanted to do a Poetry Thursday too. I was like, oh, I want to do it too. And I did a Billy Collins one, which was a big floppy. I mean, it just flopped. I don't know if it was the poem or if it was me reading the poem, or if people were just like, you're just trying to be Pat, Meg. You're just trying to be Pat and you can't be Pat. So that one got a lot of low views. Nurse River's Secret. For some reason, I read this book called Nurse River's Secret, and it was not bad. It wasn't a bad book or anything like that. I mean, I got to the end of the review and was laughing hysterically at what had happened at the end of the book, which doesn't really have anything to do with her secret, but I was laughing hysterically. And so I thought that people would enjoy it as much as I did. Wrong. People did not enjoy that one. Very low views on that one. And I think that one was because I was in a silly mood and I wasn't articulating well about the story, and then I got to laughing so hard I just looked like a freaking idiot. Okay, number 4, Early Morning Book Review, Moby Dick. That one probably got a lot of views. That one probably did not get a lot of views because people loved Moby Dick and I trashed it. I didn't trash it like it's the worst book ever, but I talked about how I couldn't read it and how I kept thinking about SpongeBob SquarePants, and I didn't do Melville justice. And so I think that was like revenge not watching, because people originally maybe clicked on it and then word got out that I wasn't being very happy about it, and then they just didn't watch it. Nobody watched that one. But my all-time lowest was Early Morning Book Review, Junior Miss. And I think that was because I talked about the bad values of the parents in that book. And I got a couple of comments from people who had grown up in that age and had read that book and were like, what are you talking about? You know, they did not have bad values. It was different from what you were interpreting and everything. And I think that one just, I think the more, what do I want to say? Not the more negative, because none of these really had, like, Heather was very analytical when she did hers and everything. Maybe I just looked bad. Maybe that was it. Maybe just, people saw me hold up Junior Miss and they were like, oh God, Meg, another vintage, please, another vintage teen story. No, we're out. But anyway, those are my tops and flops. And so I have posted links to all the videos, hopefully with the correct timestamp. And I don't know exactly what to say after that, other than I'm going to tag a bunch of people. I want to know what your biggest ones were and what your lowest ones were and why you think it was like that. And thank you to Heather for doing this with me, and I will check you later.